so I'm always looking for creative places to hide from the family while I do these Alone Season 8 episode recaps, and this is episode 10. I think it's a pretty good episode. See some interesting things that got me thinking while I was watching. One of the things we've been watching throughout the entire season, really, is interesting play between strategies. Oh, I see a arrow in the tree over there. Somebody was hunting here. Anyway, the interesting play between strategies, and we've got Coulter, who's really hitting the fishing hard, really gill netting, which is something I've wanted to see a lot more of, and so you got him really leaning into that. You got Clay really leaning into the hunting. He's doing some fishing too, but not as focused or as successfully potentially. But he's an excellent hunter, really successful at that. And we're seeing the metabolisms of Teresa and Biko and just the mental toughness, positive attitude through trials and that much hunger and suffering. So it's an interesting interplay between those strategies. Of course, Teresa's leaning more heavily into like wild edibles and stuff, and it'd be interesting to know how many calories she's able to gather. But especially between I really like the Coulter and the Clay kind of juxtaposition. Both have really cool strategies, are really aggressive in their approach. That is, they're like trying to make it happen, and we're just watching it play out. So it was a good episode. I'm noticing a lot of these episodes start with Biko, and it starts with Biko again, and he's gone 36 days without protein, which is pretty intense. It's still amazing how much size he does have. In a way, I wonder if it's not his to lose, but it's really hard to say from my position. I don't know. But it is too bad he's not getting any fish, because, man, what a bummer on the fishing there. Shows what a scarce season it is. 36 days without fish, that's crazy. They spend a lot of time, part of the episode about where he burnt his socks, kind of focus on that. Disappointing, yes, but I've had, drying your stuff over the fire, it happens. I burnt my socks too, but what I did was I just clipped the toes off because his toes were still intact, kind of like he burnt his, and then clipped out about a 3-inch section and Frankensteined them back together, and they worked just fine. They were just a little more ankle socks than they were before. But you can do that. I had to make a couple patches on my boot inserts also for the same reason. It can be a little tricky. But, we see him throughout the episode changing his gill net spot, and, he's obviously self-aware of his strategy. He makes up for his strategy that's maybe not the most compelling with his personality and his attitude, which are compelling. So, and you don't know what a person's strategy would be in a more game-rich environment. Of course, he's oh, sorry, I got distracted, but he's probably doing the best thing he could be for where they're at, and with his size advantage, it's like he can kind of roll the dice and hope others aren't as successful out there when it's been such a scarce season. But he's got some stiff competition because it's not just everybody else starving. So they show to I liked his little fake tap. It was funny they used it. I noticed on my season right before the final tap out, when it was switching between me and Wonia, it was like to create suspense. I had done the same thing where I was like, that's it, I'm done here, I'm going home. And then it was a joke, but they clipped that audio in right before that cutout to make it. I did I tap out? You never would have known that was a joke scene. Anyway, Biko found a little fish. That's cool, but maybe tastes good. Little taste of protein. Then we go to Teresa, who I'm amazed with her attitude. She's got an excellent spirit, as many of the women have who've done so well. And she's also, it's also impressive how long she's gone on so little food. She's not a big person. She didn't start as a big person. And going 60 days in without really eating anything significant is pretty surprising. So I'm interested to see if on the next med check, where they kind of ended this episode on a med check, if she also gets pulled. But she doesn't look that bad. You can't really tell through the clothes, but she's making the best go she can on wild edibles. And but as she said, it's not willpower, it's the calories, and it's her body that's going to give out. And yeah, just props to her for her mental toughness, for her determination to push her body to the limit. Not everybody could do that, and not everybody could go 60 days on rose hip balls. She did find that fish or two on the shore, but she's a mentally tough person for sure. She did cut herself in this episode. That we all do that, and it's always the same situation where right before you cut yourself, you really shouldn't be doing this, and you try to get away with it, slip, cut yourself. She'll be fine from that, I think. Then we get to Coulter, who on this episode is one of the more compelling figures, of course, and he has been throughout the season. He builds himself a little Yahtzee set. He seems, he's got that low-key attitude, but he seems to be in fairly good spirits. He's definitely going for as long as his body will allow him. His boat sunk at the start, and I'm not sure if he was leaving his boat out in the water, which would be surprising, but maybe that thing's heavy enough that it's not easy to pull onto the shore without dragging it and tearing it up on the rocks. Always wondered if some peeled logs, like as a little dock that you could pull it up on, might not be a bad idea. But whatever the case, he's doing fine. He's out there 60 days. He's still got his boat, and he gets his gill net out there and amazingly catches another fish, which is, again, always my favorite parts of the show when people have these successes. And that's a good one, because he's super grateful for the fish, and I can really relate, so I love those moments. And I really like his approach to build a second gill net. Towards the end of the episode, I think he's second guessing himself on that, but it is a solid idea, a solid strategy. I almost wish he would have gotten 2 out right away at day 45. Maybe he would have gotten a few more fish. But it's a really good strategy in this location. Obviously, I don't know who all's hunting other than Clay, but we haven't seen anyone else have any significant potential game encounters. So either nobody's hunting, or there really isn't much game. Even Clay said I think he only had that one deer on his territory that basically fit the hunting regulations. So it's kind of a roll of a dice on that. So if you're just picking blind and you don't know anything about the location other than that, that gill net, the boat, is one of the most solid strategies. If you could just combine that with a little bit more hunting, it really would be the ticket. And at least it's not a ticket, it would be your highest odds. Especially if you could add in a metabolism that's slow, which Coulter and Clay aren't blessed with. But they're I really like Coulter's going out swinging mentality. Builds that other net, gets all his firewood ready, and now it's just up to the lake to provide him fish or not. And sadly, it doesn't. And in the end, he has to tap out. it's one of the reasons I'm not as excited about all the regulations, is because it doesn't really give the opportunity for the contestants to all look good. You know, somebody might have an opportunity here or there, but in general, most of them haven't seemed to. And you can see with Coulter really trying hard and leaning in, pushing hard, and only catching a few handful of fish over the course of the time. It's like, man, it doesn't do a lot to make make these guys look good, even though they are good, and he does an amazing job, and hats off to him. I think in many situations what he did out there would be one of the most effective strategies, and it's a shame that it didn't pan out for him a little better, that he didn't manage to land more fish and stuff. But he's, when he taps out, he takes it to heart a little too much, as if he's ashamed of himself and this and that. But really, he had a really intelligent strategy, executed it really well. It just wasn't there for him. The food just wasn't there for him in that lake, and who knows if the hunting opportunities were there for him. So props to you, Coulter. I really enjoyed watching you, and I really liked your strategy, and I'm sure your parents are more than proud. Great job, man. Then we get to Clay, who's working the kinks out of his gill net, but he still manages to snag a fish in it. And Clay, he reminds me of myself in his strategy also. He's like going for it. He's trying to be, he's trying to take charge as much as you can. And you always find there's limits to that, but you have to approach it like that's the case. And I really noticed that with his run in, which he hasn't really had, aside from right at the start, but with his encounters with this mountain lion, where he's seeing it as an opportunity, where he is out there to hunt, to to take what the land has to offer, and he's really aggressively pursuing that. And I really like to watch it. It's when you watch, it's like, that's what I'd do. So good for him. I like to see it. I like his little thought on adventure, and it's also funny that he knows he's not gonna remember it and ask him for a transcript. Fortunately, they did better and put it in the show. And I also really like, going to my previous point, where you have to you don't wait for chance opportunities out there. They're few and far between. They do happen, but you have to create opportunities. And we see him making a predator call, which is exactly that. It's similar, and building my moose fence and alarm systems and this and that. It's all things that are proactive towards getting an opportunity to animal. And here he is proactively making a good sounding little predator call. So I like it. I love the strategy. I like watching him and Coulter's strategies that are just like go pedal to the metal. And we'll see how that goes for him. But in the preview, they show him see a little blood. It's like, does he get a mountain lion? That'd be awesome. I'm hoping he does. He's viewing it kind of like I did. It's like you get this once in a lifetime opportunity to go on a moose hunt and a wolverine hunt, and a bear hunt, and he's seeing this as a deer hunt, which he does all the time, and also a once in a lifetime opportunity for a mountain lion hunt, and you got to take advantage of it. And I like to see that. So good attitude from him. It's bummer he sees his grizzly running around his camp, but late winter, that's when you really don't want to see them, because that means they couldn't hibernate, and that's when they can be dangerous. This guy's probably just getting ready to go in, sniffing around. It didn't look like he tore Clay's camp up, so hopefully he won't. At one point he mentions, man, this might be the longest season ever, going 115 days or something. And I do think that that's the right mental attitude to have. You should expect this, whatever season you're on, to be the longest one ever, and charge for it. It's why I like the original format more than the 100-day limit. Season 7 was one of the best seasons of the show. such a good location up there. But it was I wasn't a huge fan of the 100-day limit because it takes away the entire mental aspect of the game, which Clay is dealing with right now, which is like, man, how long is this going to go on? And you get all your food rationing issues, and so that's what he's dealing with now, having no definite date, thinking about his family, and but I don't see quitting him yet, as long as they don't pull him, because I don't know how much weight he's lost, but I can see he's still focusing on how to get this mountain lion or get the next thing. So good for him. I like those aggressive strategies versus the passive ones, as far as they're more compelling to watch. But anyway, it was a good episode. I think it was one of the better of the season. We got to see some successes, some potential for the future, and kind of a heartbreaking tap out from Coulter. But he did great, and I'm sure in hindsight everyone's going to agree with that. So thanks for watching, and cheers to the last 3 remaining. I'd say the last 4, because Coulter should be right in there with him, and we'll look forward to this final episode. All right, see you.